Okay, so here is the provided lab report format that you will get once we start working in the lab on the titration. So this is pretty straightforward, but I kind of want to explain so that there isn't any lack of clarity and so that there is little to no confusion, as this is your guys' first lab report that you'll be writing. So this is this is very similar to what real formal lab reports are written. The structure is the same. There's some stuff that's left out, obviously. You're not going to be using any sources. You're not going to be needing to cite anything or write reaction mechanisms or anything like that. But for the most part, you're doing, what the pros do, as they say. So, okay, so you need a title, obviously. It's just simple. You don't need to, nothing to stress out about. It's just to indicate what the lab is all about. So in this case, it's about finding the concentration of an unknown solution of hydrogen peroxide. So then you have your introduction where you talk to me in this case, but pretend you're talking to, a fellow colleague, a fellow chemist. This is where you give background information on, why concentration determination is important, or what a titration is, which reagents you'll be using, which reagent is your oxidant, which is your reductant. So this is where you're going to introduce the lab as a whole. I also want to point out that another big part of the introduction, in our case for this course, is that I will be looking for you to provide me with something that you hope to learn from the lab. So some of these, you won't write your conclusion until after you're done with the lab report, but you will need to jot down an introduction before you actually start the procedure. And then you can kind of make it all pretty before you turn it into me. So then we're here with materials, and I will obviously provide you with a list of materials, and so you can just copy it down from the sheet that from the information I give you about the titration that we'll do. So procedure, since I'm giving you the procedure and it's a little long, I don't expect you to copy it down word for word. If you want to copy it down word for word, feel free. But it's okay for here to just write exactly as I have it here, procedure, per provided lab instruction. And that is totally fine. That is totally valid. That is a-okay for this lab. Now down the line, we might have some labs where you write your own procedure, and this is where that'd go. So then for data and analysis, this is kind of the big bulk of your lab. This is where you're going to be actually writing observations, measurements, results, tables, charts, things like that. This is where you're going to be actually writing the things that you find, that you perform in the lab. Okay, so then we're going to do conclusion. So this is where you just wrap your lab report up. Like the introduction, the conclusion is for just summarizing everything that you're going to do and kind of making sense of the results that you have. Because if you just have results here, if you just have measurements here, that doesn't mean anything, right? It means something when you wrap it up. What do those numbers mean? So here you're going to talk about, again, what you learned in completing the procedure. You're going to also talk about percent error, which you guys learned how to calculate a couple of weeks ago. And you're going to talk about percent error and actual value of concentration versus your experimental value. The conclusion is really a discussion of what happened in the lab, right? I don't want to just see, oh, we titrated potassium permanganate with hydrogen peroxide and we found the concentration to be blah, blah, blah. No, I don't want that. You really need to make sense of the numbers that you do. You need to show me that you learned something. You need to show me that you know what it means to say we titrated potassium permanganate with hydrogen peroxide. So this is where you're really going to show me what you learned, show me what this experiment meant to you, and show me how you're going to use the further knowledge. Use the knowledge that you learned here for further exploration of chemistry. So that's the lab report format. I just wanted to talk through it and make sure that it was clear because, again, this is your first time writing a lab report, and so I wanted to make a video so you could come back and view it and answer any questions that you may have while you're working on this this weekend.